The best defense is a good offense, right? Well, maybe. The jury's still out on that one, but it's fair to say that the most well-rounded teams will be successful more often than not. Having the skill set to be effective in offense and defense is obviously very important in winning points, but it's not as important as knowing when you need to change your mindset from one to the other. Today we're going to take a look at some of the indicators that you need to be aware of so you can take the foot off the gas and stay in the game. Yours and your partner's position on the court should be the first thing to consider when deciding to shift to a defensive mindset, with the most obvious example being when your side is serving. You and your partner are back and should be trying to get up to the kitchen line to then mount an offense. Once you're already up there, however, things are a little more difficult to read, so let's talk about some positional cues that should tell you it's time to defend. The broken string. The imaginary string that hopefully connects you and your partner when moving around the kitchen is, unfortunately, just imaginary. And if either of you break the string, then there is likely a large gap that your opponent could launch an attack into. Quick lateral movement to cover the midpoint of whatever angle is available is now your best chance to get back to neutral. The divorce ball. The opposite situation also calls for a shift towards a defensive mindset. When two players are drawn into each other, whether it be due to poor communication on a middle dink or an attack through the middle resulting in a clash of paddles, the result is the same. A lot of open space near the sidelines. Quickly separate to avoid wide-angle dinks or attacking volleys, exposing these areas. The perfect lob. When your opponents have played an effective lob and one of your players needs to retrieve it, then your position as a team has been weakened. This is not a time to be brave with a booming drive down the middle. Recognize that you've now essentially been reset to a third ball scenario and should be looking to play a drop back into the kitchen. Please, whatever you do, don't lob them back. Being off balance is obviously not ideal, but it happens to the best of us. Whatever the cause, the most important thing is to avoid attempting to bail yourself out of trouble with some kind of one-hit wonder. Here's a couple of prime opportunities to play it safe and live to fight another day. The late to the kitchen low ball. If your return didn't quite go to plan, you find yourself struggling to get all the way up to the line to join your partner, then you may indeed soon be fielding a ball played to your feet while you're still moving forward. That makes you about as useful as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. In this moment, you unfortunately have to relinquish the idea that you still hold the kitchen, and therefore the offensive position. Stabilize your wrist with some added grip pressure and play a low volley or half volley, ideally placed at your opponent's feet. Your team won't be in the driver's seat anymore, but you'll avoid a quick loss of the point. The extra wide ball. If you've done your job covering the middle when your partner has been pulled wide, great, well done. You may have blocked the path to a middle attack, but unfortunately your sideline is heavily exposed. If your opponents are able to use a short angle dink against you, then chances are you're going to be put in full flight to retrieve it. This puts you in both a balance and position disadvantage, so it's not time to be a hero. If you try to attack from here, then any counterpunch will likely get the better of your partner, and you'll also be advertising that you're unable to play an effective dink while in motion, an important skill at every level. The pretzel. You're deeply engaged in a nice cross-court dink battle, and you're winning. Nice work. Your opponent, however, still has a couple of tricks up their sleeve. They lean in to take your next dink as a volley, effectively stealing time away from you, time that you were going to use to recover. Their shot catches you in mid-sidestep, forcing you to quickly swivel on one foot to reach the ball played behind you. Any chance of style points in this rally are gone, as are your chances to get the ball back cross-court. Your best option here is to play a soft lifting dink to buy you some much needed time to find your balance and get back into the point. The last key indicator that you should get ready to play defense is contact point, especially contact height. Now this refers to both your teams and your opponents, so let's look at a couple of key situations that you should be prepared for. The overhead smash. This one is a no-brainer, and your natural instinct to protect yourself should take care of most of the work here. Assuming you or your partner have played the lob as an offensive weapon, and not just a last resort play, then you'll likely be well positioned up at the kitchen line, waiting for your opponents to run back and be forced to reset with a drop. However, we all know that's not always the case, so as soon as you see your opponent is ready and able to play the overhead smash, Take a backward split step and look to block that ball with a volley or half volley to at least return to a neutral strategic position. The perfect drop. The returning side has the advantage, right? Yes, that's very true, but that advantage relies on both players being well positioned up at the kitchen line. If the returner is a little late or the third shot drop just happens to arrive and force a player into a very low volley or half volley, then it's time to shift gears. Not only is your team not in control of the point, but you're at real risk of giving the serving side an easy ball to attack. The idea of keeping the serving side back is now out of the window, because the angle needed just to get the ball over the net is also too great to find their feet. Play the ball softly cross-court and live to give yourself a chance in a dink exchange. The high dink. We get it. No one's trying to dink too high. Whether it's the grip, the opponent's spin, or a lack of mobility, sometimes balls pop up a little too high and can be attacked. Most dink rallies tend to be cross-court, but a lot of attacks are down the line. So what that means is simple. If it's your partner that's involved in the cross-court dink rally, then you have to become a keen and agile spectator. Be watching the ball and the players intensely and looking for your first piece of information you can get. Usually that's going to come from your partner. Watch their movement, balance, swing speed, if they're trying to suddenly take the ball as a volley, and who has the reach advantage. There are too many cues to list, but trust that you will know it when you see it. You're basically looking for who's in control of the rally, and if that's your opponent, then it's now your job to be able to play defense at any moment. The moment you see an erratic dink coming from your partner, it's time to back up from the line and give yourself time to react to an oncoming attack. Today we took a good look at 3 main factors at play that should trigger a defensive mindset. Start thinking about your position on the court, your balance, and the height in which the ball is contacted. Don't be afraid to take 1 step back to go 2 steps forward. And try to understand that as you continue to improve in this game, your competition will find a way to put you on defense. One of your jobs as a player is to learn when you're on defense and how to get back to offense. Check out our drill video, The Backup Plan, for help with defensive anticipation and movement. Right? Yeah. You never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Please, please, please. That was a good delivery. Yeah, now you know what it's like. And please understand that as you continue to pin, that's not even close to a word. And movement in the defensive something or other. Come on, there was emotion in there. I really sold it.